Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. It is exactly 9:24 news and views on Salam Media, and our next guest is the director of Vision Technical, and that, of course, is you, Yaseen Theba. Assalamu alaikum to you. Welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam, jazakallah.
Yasin, you are in the security business and you have your ear to the ground, not only with security issues, but a whole host of other social issues around in our community and beyond. Alhamdulillah, may Allah reward you for that because you're very proactive with all of this. I know that in the past, together with Yusuf Abramji and a whole host of other players, there was a lot of spotlight on kidnappings, and you too were very vociferous about that. There seems to have been a lull regarding kidnappings, and all of a sudden it seems to have popped up again in a very big way. We're now hearing, apart from our own community, the Portuguese community is plagued with it as well, and it seems as if there's now a whole kind of copycat situation playing out, because you seem to be getting petty criminals involved in kidnapping ordinary people and trying to extort money out of their families. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? And what is your advice to us ordinary South African people who are now living in fear? We're looking over our shoulders all of the time.
Well, just to sum it up, kidnapping has been spiking up continuously for the past 3 years. We're seeing a drastic increase in kidnapping cases in South Africa. We know that we're now ranked number 6 in the world for kidnapping. And the challenge of combating these syndicates is becoming so much more difficult. Definitely, the Portuguese community has been targeted. We've seen instances where Portuguese butchery owners specifically are being targeted, and that is of course a great concern. But it doesn't mean that it's just limited to Portuguese business people. Every day there's been kidnappings. Now hijackings are turning into kidnapping. House robberies are turning into kidnapping. We had a recent case where a couple was on their way into their house, and what would have been an ordinary house robbery turned into a kidnapping. They were taken into Soweto while these suspects cleared out their house. So this is a concern. We're seeing police trying to combat them by getting a little bit more organized, but these syndicates are just getting away with it. And every kidnapping that they get away with, they empower themselves, they collaborate better, they work better in their silos so that they can using technology. Suspects are now beating police, and it's becoming a little bit more difficult to catch them and the copycats that are springing up.
So, Yaseen, moving forward, I'm kind of thinking social media, our community specifically, we put our whole lives out on social media for the whole world to see what we're all about. Is that not a failing on our part? I mean, we put so much of information out there, and it might not necessarily only be social media. That might be one component regarding us becoming soft targets. I think the cars we drive, the areas we live in, the places where we shop at, that's what's top of my head. But what else do you believe we are doing that possibly makes us soft targets?
Well, we are seen as soft targets, and there's a number of reasons for that. Of course, there are risks with putting your daily life on social media. However, we strongly feel that these kidnapping syndicates are targeting people based on much more information. They're profiling their targets, especially kidnapping for ransom cases. They're targeting the victims much more. And they tend to know a little more and profile them in the event that they know that they've got access to cash. Routine is a major problem. These suspects know exactly which direction the victims are going in, and we found that, especially like, for example, the Portuguese kidnapping cases, those victims were every day in a daily routine, moving around, and they were seen as soft targets. When these suspects get away with a ransom, that syndicate then also knows, and even if there's now branches of that syndicate that split up, each one becomes their own kingpin in their own syndicate.
Hmm.
They continue to target you, fueling the crime by paying ransoms. But I mean, again, in with our Muslim community specifically, initially we saw a number of victims paying ransoms, especially among the foreign community, the Pakistani community, the Indian and Bangladeshi communities, especially in the rural areas, paying these large, exorbitant ransoms, and that fuels these syndicates to target Muslim business people, cash and carry owners. And while we did see a little bit of a lull in the syndicates attacking Muslims specifically, we can't say that it stopped. It carried on, and those syndicates have now just evolved, and they've now grown into a major network where you've got specific groups that will target, that will do the actual grabs, specific groups that will negotiate, specific groups in that syndicate that will look after the victim. And it's become very organized with the syndicates, making it more difficult for police to combat.
Yasin, being the director of Vision Tactical, and I know you work in the security space, how do you believe these syndicates are gathering intelligence? Do you believe there's an element of some inside jobs as well involved here? Do you believe that people that work for you are being threatened or bribed to part with information?
Well, most of the cases that we work with, we know that there is inside information. Sometimes not directly involved in the kidnapping, but family, friends, staff members at the business can give off information, not even knowing that they're giving information to syndicates. A lot of times, people on public transport going home from the office tend to mix with other suspects, and information is then sent through, and a person is then profiled and targeted. What we do pick up is that when these victims are targeted, that inside information is there, but there's also police information. We know that there's policemen involved in a number of these cases,
Ooh.
and for a policeman to profile people is much more easier. I mean, they've got access to so much more intelligence. They know what's happening in the area, and like there's been private security companies that have been involved in certain cases. So the police involvement, private security involvement, your security company, your guarding company, guarding your business, those are all issues that need to be looked at. Police are aware of policemen. I mean, just recently we heard of a policeman that was arrested at Bramley police station for his involvement in the kidnappings of Portuguese business people. He's now out on bail, a 5,000 rand bail, and police can't confirm whether he's been suspended or not suspended as yet. These are the challenges that we are facing, and of course, it is a great concern.
Yasin, any update regarding the latest kidnapping in our community out on the West Rand in Helder Crane? I think it was Ashraf Kaka, an attorney. Have we heard anything further on that particular case?
Well, at this stage, we know that we've seen reports. Unfortunately, the reports on social media tend to go like wildfire when incidences like this happen. So I know that the community is very, very distraught. A number of community members have reached out. At this stage, we want to appeal to community members and people that know the victim to allow the family space. I know that from an investigation point of view, police will be assisting, but I prefer to leave the official. I mean, in an active kidnapping case, I prefer to leave the police as the point of contact on that case. I mean, from a community perspective, I think it's important that we allow the family their space and the time to gather their emotions and get focused on keeping strong while their loved one is away.
You've been involved in the freeing of a lot of the kidnappings in our community. Alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for your hard work, putting your life on the line in helping reunite kidnapped victims with their loved ones. What are the do's and the don'ts, Allah forbid, but what are the do's and the don'ts one should be exercising when your loved one has been kidnapped? What should the kidnapped victim, how should he or she be behaving? And what ought the family be doing in a time like this?
Well, we appeal to people to remain calm. We've seen how quickly situations can get out of hand once a victim resists and fights beyond. We know that if 8 men target you or a group of men target you, they know that they are definitely going to take you. And at times, those grabs have been very violent, shots fired. Fortunately, we haven't seen a case where a victim was shot or fatally shot in this country. But we appeal to people to remain calm. As a family, the best thing a family can do is remain calm, cooperate with the authorities. And of course, we again appeal to our community, stop the social media posts. We don't know what we're doing to the life of the victim. We could be endangering their life. Sometimes these suspects don't have a profile of the victim. And by social media posts going out, we're actually helping the suspects profile the victim. So, we appeal to people just to control the posts, maintain that it is a sensitive situation, and allow the family that space to deal with it in the way that the authorities require them to cooperate.
Okay, in closing, then a short, sharp answer, Yaseen. When you find yourself in a situation like this, the family, and your loved one is kidnapped, and you get a call to say, we want X millions of rands to release your loved one, what is your first port of call? Do you go immediately to SAPS? Do we get in touch with people like you? People are so helpless and hopeless in a situation like this that they might just be doing all the wrong things, endangering the life of their loved one.
Like I've mentioned, I think by cooperating with the police and investigating it, we know that we're not going to pay ransom. So we want to avoid the suspects getting away with it. You need to report it to the police. I'm easily accessible through the company control room to contact us so that we can guide them through the process to report it to the police. But we need it to be reported to the police. We can't point fingers to the police to say that kidnapping is a major problem when we know that people are not reporting cases and paying ransoms.
Yaseen, Theba, always a pleasure talking with you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide, protect you, and continue doing the amazing work that you're doing. And until the next time, as always, keep us in your du'as as well. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
It is exactly 9:37 News and Views on Salam Media. Standing by to talk to us next is Ibrahim Patel, Chair of the International Trade and Investment Committee at Minara Chamber of Commerce.